Hello everyone and welcome to this presentation with Xplora Technologies. My name is Øystein Lodgaard. I'm an equity research analyst here at ABG. And with us today we have both the CEO of Xplora, Sten Kirkbak, and the CFO, Mikael Clement. They'll take us through a brief presentation and then we'll do some Q&A afterwards. So Sten, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Øystein. My name is Sten, founder and CEO of Xplora, and with me today, Mikael Clement, our CFO, as mentioned, and we will take you through this presentation today. Let's go straight into it, and we can just go to the next page. So, what is Xplora? Xplora is a category leader in a large and growing market for smartwatches for kids. It's a huge and untapped market. It's highly scalable, and we have a business model that gives us recurring service revenue per month. And as you can see, we have started hugely successful within the Nordic market in particular, and now ready to scale this business into the global market in Europe and US. And also some facts about the company. We have already launched and successfully head into the market 7th generation of our products. We have sold more than 700,000 watches already, and our product is being distributed by more than 20 different markets. And we're also a listed company at Euronext Growth. That is a high level of the company. If you go to the next page, I will take you through how we are selling and positioning this product. And the very important thing to understand is Xplora, we are addressing two very important pain points for most parents. Number one, most parents, even if they have kids younger than when you typically will buy them a smartphone, you would really like as a parent to be able to reach out to your kids. That's pain point number one. Pain point number two, our product also incentivizes kids to be more active. For that reason, we are positioning our product as your child's first mobile phone, addressing the peace of mind element to most parents. Our target group is kids from 4 to 10 years old. Also, it's important to understand some of the key features of our product is that the parent can do all the setup and control every single feature of the kid's smartwatch. From the parental app, you have 5 key features. One, you can set up your dial list, your phone list, and only the numbers that you're setting into that phone book will be allowed to call the watch, and the watch can only call those numbers. So even if you have the child's phone number and you're not in that list, you would not be able to reach the child. It will be blocked by our platform. The second feature is that the same numbers can also send text messages to the watch, and the watch can reply with text messages back. A third feature, very important for this proposition, is that the parents are allowed to see the child's location in the map in the parental app, meaning that if the parents wonder where the kids are, you can then look into the parental app and you can see the location. Within that feature, you can also then set up a safe zone, allowing the parents to be notified if the kids are entering a zone or exiting a zone. For example, when the kids arrive to school or arrives back home safely. And also, if needed, the child are able to push one button, activating an SOS feature, making it possible to immediately reach out and contact everyone on that phone book, on that contact list. So that's a 5 key feature for the peace of mind and contact functionality. Then we have also emphasized the step counter within the watch, allowing us to build many features and services promoting healthy and an active lifestyle, incentivizing and encouraging kids to be more active with our Go Play services, which I will come back to. So that's a key proposition, addressing those 2 pain points, being able to contact your kids and incentivizing kids to be more active. On the next page, you will see our IP strategy. And from day one, we designed our IP strategy based on 4 different building blocks. Number 1, we started by developing our GDPR-compliant family IoT platform. That's a hardware-agnostic platform allowing a parental app or an application to contact an IoT product, a sensor. In our case, a smartwatch for kids. So the first piece of IP in the company is our GDPR-compliant family IoT platform. Then, as mentioned, we have successfully launched 7 different products into the market, and we also recently have made a change from a traditional ODM to an OEM hardware platform. That means that our product that we are launching this year into the market, we own all the stack of IP, design the product from scratch ourselves, owning every single IP of that product. This year, we are launching 3 new products. 2 of those new products is our new OEM product. The third piece of our IP strategy is our Xplora Connect service. Last year, we acquired our mobile distributor in the Nordic market, Xplora Mobile, which is an MVNO. That means that in the Nordic market previously, Xplora was bundled with a SIM subscription, allowing to have a very compelling value proposition, both with product and recurring service revenue. And a strategy for that acquisition is to take all that content from an MVNO company and replicate that business model into the global market. And the last piece in our IP strategy is our Xplora GoPlay services, because our service revenue strategy has been to introduce product, the smartwatches, add SIM recurring revenue from the MVNO, and on top of that, potentially add new recurring service revenue. So the IP strategy is laid out based on these 4 building blocks. On the next page, I will give you an example of some of the services we are planning to introduce in the market and has already been introduced in the market. And one of the key reasons for building a strong service platform and offering is to create more stickiness as well as a potential future revenue stream. Because as I mentioned initially, the core value proposition was peace of mind to the parent. The parent is buying this product in order to give them peace of mind by knowing they can, every time they would like to, reach their kid in any situation. But in order to also add a very strong value proposition to the kids, so the kids would like to take on the watch and use it every single day, it's important to also have a strong service proposition with services and application the kid love to use. For that reason, we have over the last couple of years been able to work with some of the world's largest leading entertainment companies, such as Disney, Sony, and Warner, to create great content. And now we are facilitating and structuring all that content with the objective to launch new services and also premium services later this year. Some of the samples and the reason behind our service strategy. On the next page, I will take you through how we are monetizing on these various applications and features. Going back when we got listed and previously, Xplora had the revenue primarily from smartwatches plus accessory. We sold our watches online through retail and selected telco channels, primarily getting the revenue from our watches with accessory. Now, after the acquisition of the Nordic MVNO and our distributor, we also have introduced revenue streams from our own SIM subscription, Xplora Connect. That's a highly profitable and scalable service business model. And the strategy going forward is to replicate the same model into new market and into the global market. And the future way of monetizing our business model is then to add additional service revenue on top of the SIM subscription. And the beauty with our business model, since the product, the smartwatches, is a mobile device, you have to have a SIM card. It's not optionally. Every single product needs to have a SIM card. For that reason, it was natural for us to go into the MVNO route and bundle our own SIM cards in every single watch that we are selling. And then on top of that, the customer in the future will then also be allowed to have this opportunity to potentially upgrade further to new services and new premium and value-added content. That's a high level of our monetization strategy. And to give you a quick overview on how successfully this business model have been, on the next page, you can see the status quo from the Nordic market. So of all the kids in the age group 4 to 10, every single kid in that age group, almost 1 out of 5 have in the Norwegian market a product from Xplora with an Xplora SIM connected to it. So 17% market penetration of all kids from 4 to 10 use an Xplora product with an Xplora service in the Norwegian market. And now we're replicating that business model into both the Nordic and to the global market. Following out the next couple of pages, Michael will then guide you through some of the financial highlights.
Thank you, Sten. The company was established in 2016, and as Sten mentioned, the first couple of years the company spent its time to develop the IoT platform and to introduce the first products. Really, the first commercial year was in 2018. And growth in Xplora has been very, very strong since then. 2018 revenues, 18 million NOK, has grown 24-fold over the last 4 years to more than 430 million NOK in 2021. Close to 100 million NOK in 2021 revenues came from connectivity services. On the next slide, you can see our geographic footprint. Xplora Technologies spent the first few commercial years also to expand into and establish presence in several international markets. In 2021, Germany represented 40% of our revenues, closely followed by Norway at close to 40%, 38%, and then Sweden at 9% of revenues. However, on the different products, the breakdown is a little different. Germany is by far our largest market in terms of device sales, and Xplora has a very solid distribution footprint in the German markets, both online through a variety of retailers as well as telcos. Services as of 2021 are from the Nordic markets and through the acquisition of our Nordic partner last year, of which we have the most subscribers in the Norwegian market and the largest share of our service revenues, close to 3/4, followed by Sweden, where we have a somewhat shorter presence in terms of time than we have in the Norwegian market, followed by Finland and Denmark. Going on to the next slide, as Sten mentioned, we've been through a number of different generations of products and have had a continuous focus on underlying improvements in our gross profitability. We have succeeded in improving the underlying gross profitability over the last few years and growing further in 2021 through the addition of service revenue streams. In large, our sale of devices, we have communicated a target of 30% gross margins on sales of devices, whereas for services, we see significantly higher gross margins in general. So our gross profit base has risen sharply, close to 200 million NOK in 2021, with gross margins closing in the mid-40s. We have, on the next slide, we show the EBITDA generation of the company, early years investments in market presence, in organization, naturally also in continuous development. 2021 was the first year where we reached a milestone of positive EBITDA earnings, full year earnings, and specifically in the latter parts of the year. On a seasonality basis, we are a company focusing on retail sales, which means that a major share of our sales is in the second half of the year, as with general retail sales around the world. So, Sten, maybe we should look a little ahead in terms of how we plan to grow further.
Yeah. So to summarize our growth strategy and growth plan, also we can divide it into these 3 steps, as you can see on the page. We have always envisioned our hardware, our smartwatches, as the Trojan horse in order to tap into a market, a highly untapped market with a huge demand. And based on these hardware product, we can then introduce new services to then step into the recurring revenue strategy. When it comes to our growth plan of our smartwatches, we will continue to focus the growth, in particular in the Nordic region and Germany and the UK market. And of course, and as we have announced, a focus on top of that will also be to focus the launch and growth in the US market. And then, of course, continue to accelerate growth in new market further out in EU as well. Our go-to-market strategy has been unchanged from when we entered and launched the company. We focus on going into new market first with online presence, focusing on Amazon and our own channels. From that point of view, or from having successfully entered in via online, building strong presence with social media marketing, with influencer and a strong review presence, we'll then grow into the retail channels. And then in the third phase, we'll go into the telco channels. We'll continue to use that go-to-market strategy when we're growing our expansion and growth of our smartwatches. As you can see, as number 2 on the screen, you have the Xplora SIM connectivity, our own Xplora Connect services. After the acquisition of Xplora Mobile in the Nordic market, we announced that our goal was to replicate that into new markets in the Europe or US market. Our goal and ambition for 2022 is to replicate that and launch in 1 to 3 new markets as well. So we are growing our distribution and sales of our smartwatches. We have already SIM recurring revenue in the Nordic market, and now with a target to grow into 1 to 3 new markets in Europe or US in 2022. And then the third way of growing the business is to add new and value-added services. And our strategy and timing of these value-added and new services is to add them and align them with the rollout of our SIM services and MVNO value proposition. The reason for that is we see the biggest, or the hypothesis of the biggest conversion into new service sales is at the time when you're buying the product, you have to select the SIM card. We already have the SIM card pre-bundled in every single watch when we're selling that into the market. At the same time, we're also then proposing to the customer to upgrade with value-added and new recurring service revenues. And for that reason, we are aligning our third revenue stream, the Xplora Premium services, and the same rollout plan as when we're introducing our Xplora Connect SIM services into the new markets. So our growth plan is to continue to grow our distribution footprint, continue to grow our smartwatch sales, focus on the Nordic market, the German market, and UK market, strong market already today, growing into US and new markets, introduce SIM connectivity in 1 to 3 new markets this year, and align our value-added services and new premium services on the roadmap where we are launching our new SIM MVNO models. That's the growth plan for 2022. And that takes us into the session with Q&A questions.
Thank you very much for a good presentation. So I'd like to start off where you ended off with growth initiatives, and you have guided for growth in 22 of at least 50%. But could you to make this more tangible, could you say something about which key markets do you expect to be the biggest growth drivers in 2022?
Very good question, and I think it's fair to say that given the market, given how we see various market and the retailers are evolving, a very important focus for us for this year will be to continue to strengthen our growth in already well-growing markets, such as the Nordic market and also in the German market. The reason for that is that we have such a strong distribution footprint there. We have a very strong brand awareness in these markets, and that also allows us to continue to grow with the less risk into those markets. So that's number one. But also, as we have said, and the reason why we announced the first deal as well, the US market will be a market where we'll put a lot of effort into 2022, but still continue with our go-to-market strategy, build online presence, build retail partnership, and then later turn into announcing into or launching into the retailers.
And you also mentioned that you would launch your connectivity services in some new markets. Germany is today the biggest market for you in terms of device sales. Is this a market where we can maybe expect you to also launch your subscription revenues?
I think it's fair to say that our biggest markets, such as UK, US as a market in size, and Germany, will be three natural ways for us to focus. And our ambition is to launch 1, 2, 3. But definitely, those big markets will be our key focus for 2022 to make that happen.
Interesting. And you also recently announced some large online distribution agreements in the US, among others with Walmart. Very exciting. Could you tell us what are your goals for the US market in 2022?
Yeah, I think it's important to just repeat our go-to-market strategy, because we have one of the key things we did all the way from we started was to build a model that we can replicate into new markets without having to change it from market to market. So we'll continue to do the same execution, starting with online. We have to have a solid online presence in social media with influencers, have very strong reviews on Amazon and every single relevant channel for the end consumer. And then in parallel of doing that, we are building agreement with the retailer. So when we feel that the market is mature enough when it comes to our presence, our awareness, our ranking, our review, that is the timing where we get return on investment going into the retail channels, because that comes with investment. And for example, in a market as the US, it's a huge market. We have to have created a groundwork first on online before we start to scale with the retailer. So we'll very carefully replicate our go-to-market strategy, build the online presence while building new distribution contracts. When we feel the market is at the right place, then we start to scale into the retail channels. We'll do the same thing in the US as well.
And last question is, you of course, the kids smartwatch category is a very interesting category. It's still a young category that could sustain growth for many years. But if we think more long term, is it likely that you could also move into other product categories?
I think that's a very good question as well. And that's also the reason why we spend some time today to explaining our IP strategy. And even before we launched our first kids smartwatch product into a market, we actually built our IoT platform with a very clear vision that our IoT platform should be hardware independent or hardware agnostic. The reason for that is that the kids smartwatches is one part of the family IoT category, which could end up being multiple very exciting and compelling categories. What we have seen clearly is that the kids smartwatches has been the category really leading the way, but with a future expectation that the whole family IoT sector will see a quite significant growth. as a whole.
Interesting. Sounds like you're still in the very early days of your growth journey. Thank you very much for presenting to us here today.
Thank you.